What's going on, y'all? It's Friday, February 3rd. Me and Pop's back in the shop. We got us a fire built. It's a little smoky in here right now. Pop's built us a fire. It's chilly outside. It cooled off quick after all that rain.
Yeah, Mom said 31.
31. I know it's supposed to be down to 24 or 25 tonight. So we're back in the shop, and as y'all could see, just then y'all probably seen that there's some parts taken back off of it, and that's just on the rear end stuff. Pop's got the front suspension tied up with tie wire. We've got to put it back on our roll around cart and roll it back to the side. Mike Ken's bringing his Pierce by tonight, and we've got to redo the right front. So he's breaking shocks, and he's done broke 4 shocks this season, or end of last season into this season. So we got to get him fixed up so he ain't breaking shocks anymore. So y'all hang out with us. We're going to get this chassis put on that roll around cart, get it scooted over, and Mike will be here in a little while, and we'll get his car unloaded and get it in here. Y'all stay tuned. Well, y'all, Mike Ken dropped his Pierce off. And for those that don't know, any new subscribers, Mike is local to us. He's a good friend of ours. This is a 2008 Pierce chassis. Mike went to, is it Indiana or Illinois? Indiana, wasn't it? To pick this car up. It was super clean. It's still super clean. And what it was, this was an older 4-bar car, and it had the Pierce brackets, like 3 holes of adjustment on bottom, 3 holes of adjustment on top. It was a 4-bar. And we converted it to 3-link to run our rules, Crate Racing USA rules. And we used the Hammond Motorsports plates and the Hammond Motorsports pull bar mount. And me and Pops updated it last year. Or I say updated it, I guess it's an update. I think it was an update. But anyway, we swapped it over to meet our rules, updated these brackets. And right now, what we're going to be doing, we got to put a flex plate in it because the flex plate teeth, the starter ate the teeth off the flex plate. So we got a new flex plate. We got new upper control arm mounts. And as y'all can see, these are not like what's on the car. So everybody knows how these old Pierce chassis are. These uprights are 6 7/8 center control arm, like a metric car. Offset ball joint like a metric car. And Pierce done that years ago because that was easy to buy parts for, control arms for, whatever. Well, that was also when guys were running 4 or 5 degrees of camber. And now that camber numbers and caster numbers have gotten extreme, what is happening is Joel at Close Racing Supply, shout out to Joel, he has built us 2 or 3 of these uppers. And they're awfully short. These are like 7-inch center ball joint, center shaft. But as you can see that shock, when the car rolls over, the upper's getting into the shock body. And we have moved this shock in, as you can see where we've cut the frame some. We've moved that shock in a couple of times. So we're going to be completely redoing this right front. We're going to take this upper off. We're going to cut that upright out. We're going to leave that upright for bracing for the shock because the shock will be outside the control arm now, more straight up and down. And we're going to do a 1-piece upper, but it'll have heims. And we're using these brackets from A&A Manufacturing. So right now, tonight, our goal is just to get this suspension knocked off. And we may cut a little bit, I don't know, depending on how Pops feel. We ain't got nothing else to do, so.
Anything we can build heat, be all right.
That's right. We just trying to stay warm at the moment. But we'll get this knocked off, and we'll take y'all along as we build this upper control arm and put these brackets on. And I have all my measurements for degrees on caster camber right now. We will get it back real close with adjustment in the heims on the upper. That way, when we get it done, we can put a caster camber gauge on it, set all that back like it's supposed to be or like we've got it right now. And he'll be good to go. Mike is the current Tri-State Modified Open Wheel Series points leader. He's rocking the orange spoiler points leader for the Tri-State Open Wheel Modified Series. It's a series right here in the Southeast, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, Georgia. And Mike is, I think, 1 point ahead of second place, Clayton Miller. Shout out to Clayton. He's a heck of a wheel man. But Mike is giving him a fit. This is Mike's first full season in an open wheel. He ran some last year after we finished the car. This will be his first full season in an open wheel. He has driven a late model in the past, 604 crate car. So that's what we got going on. We're going to get him fixed up. Y'all hang out with us. Well, y'all, this is where we at. We cut that upright out. I'm gonna clean that up, smooth everything up, and get all that cleaned up so there's not tubing and weld sticking out right there. Smooth all that up. Y'all noticed in the time lapse we were measuring. I'll kind of hold this up here to get an idea. So this upper control arm, we're gonna do a leg that way, and there'll be brackets right here on the frame. Thought I had one laying here. And there'll be 2 tabs welded on here. This tube will have a heim on it and a bolt in that. And then there'll be 2 tabs here and a bar going that way into that. So when the control arm raises, it'll get the camber and caster gain like it's supposed to. But we'll get all that cleaned up. And we'll get our tubes cut. I went ahead and cut the upper control arm apart. That's her in all of her glory. And I'm gonna take this stud and everything out of here and clean all this up and grind off this old tube where I just cut it apart. And then we'll clean it real good and go ahead and make the new upper, and then we'll clean it again and put it all back together before we go back on the car with it. Pops is measuring our heims. What we're gonna do is put these tubes on halfway of the thread on these heims. That way we have half thread to adjust caster camber. And these are just steel 12-inch tubes, heavy wall. And we'll just cut these off and weld them onto the ball joint holder at the degree we want, probably a 10 degree. I'm pretty sure that was a 10 degree upper. So we'll do a 10 degree back in it and make our bars, and it'll technically be a 1-piece upper with heims. So that's what we're going for here. Y'all hang out with us, stay tuned. We're gonna get this thing fixed back up. What's going on, y'all? Saturday morning. Me and Pops back in the shop this morning.
Whoa.
He got him a pretty good fire back there in the heater. As y'all can see, we leave the door. He's leaving the door open right now because it actually wasn't smoking too bad like that, and it was putting a lot more heat in here quick. So we're back on Mike Hen's Pierce. We're gonna get this upper control arm built this morning, get all this cleaned up where we cut off last night, and get this knocked out pretty quick. That way he can come get it when he gets off work today. And we're gonna get it knocked out. We're gonna take y'all along with us as we build this upper control arm. Pop's got his cardboard covering everything up so we don't get grinding dust and everything all over the motor and stuff. So y'all hang out with us. We're gonna do some front suspension work. All right, y'all. I didn't want to get too far along and not explain what we're doing. Obviously, y'all seen us take that ball joint cup apart on time lapse and clean all that up. I wanted to get the grease out of that before I start welding and trying to weld on it and get it cleaned up. A lot of people that start welding They don't realize that 90% of a good weld is cleanup. So if there's grease in that, it'll pull that grease through these fittings and everything out into your weld, and you'll have porosity. But anyway, what we done was we measured last night the distance we wanted from the center of the ball joint to the center of our heim joint. So what I done is I laid that ball joint holder alongside my tube here and got my measurement center to center that I wanted. And then I laid that ball joint holder up on top of that tube and marked like the radius I could fit the ball joint holder. And I'll grind that out and make it fit better. Now, we want this ball joint holder to be at a 10-degree angle. So when the upper control arm travels up, it flattens that ball joint out and it's straight up and down. Most uppers you get are 10, 13 degree. The ones on our car are 13 degree. That's just the way they came from PPM. Well, this one was 10 degree, so we're gonna make it to 10 degree and we'll put it back like it was. So now what we'll do is I'll grind this out so that tube fits real good on that ball joint holder. We'll put this in the vise and then we'll get our tube at 10-degree angle, and we'll know that once this is on the car, that cup is at a 10-degree negative angle. I just wanted to explain that before we got too far, so people were watching the time lapse like, well, what's he doing now? So we'll get this tube on there, and then we'll probably go ahead and put this in the brackets and put it on the car, and then get an idea where we want to go with this tube. We have a length, kind of idea on length, but we'll just put it on the car, get it close where we want it, then we'll mark and cut. Y'all hang out with us. All right, y'all. We just got back in the shop. I just got back down here. Pop's still up at the house. Took us a little lunch break, and I didn't video finishing up the mounts and everything. We had a local racer come by and was talking to us, so we were talking to him, and I was just kind of working on some stuff, and my phone battery was low, so I didn't film a whole lot of finishing up the mounts, but I'll show you. We got all the mounts on. Got everything welded up, and that's how the mounts are gonna be now. We cleaned all that old tube up, old tube there. We left enough room for a lock nut on the jack bolt, and it had a lock nut on it, but we were having to run it underneath because of that upright was right in the way and you couldn't get a nut on there. And we could have probably used the Weir's nuts. You know, everybody knows they're a little bit smaller diameter. We probably could have used one of those, but we didn't. So this frame kind of come out to a point right here. So I cut all that off. There's Pops. I told him we took us a little lunch break.
All right.
So we this frame came out to a little point right here and kind of went back in, and this is where we had cut it out before to make shock clearance. So I just flat plated that with 1/8 inch. I'm gonna go ahead and trim off this bottom part of frame rail and weld that up solid too. And then I'm gonna put a piece back in here to kind of fill that in right there where we cut out before, because now the shock will use the same mount on the lower, but it'll be outside the upper control arm and come up through here. And we're gonna do like this, put a piece of tube through this tubing and just bolt that shock right here. But we're gonna work on getting the upper bolted back on. And then we've got to change that flex plate, so we're going to do it while the car's jacked up on all 4 corners. We'll get under there and do that. And then we'll put this thing at ride height before we do the shock mount. That way we can check shock travel and make sure all of our clearances are right. Everything's good and kosher here. And then we'll do the shock mount through the tube up there and get all of it bolted back together. Mike is working this weekend, and he dropped it off last night, so I told him we'd be done and he could pick it up tonight. So he'll be here this evening to pick it up, and we're going to have it ready for him when he gets here. Y'all hang out with us. We're going to put this thing back together, change the flex plate. All right, y'all. What we were working on was finishing up boxing in that frame rail where we cut it out. And then I took some of the old frame, y'all see me cut a little piece, and I put that back in there and kind of just support that spring pocket some more back where we cut it out before, because that shock's gonna be out here now. So, well, all that's welded. We just gotta put the spring and everything back in it, put the upper on it, and we'll get all this bolted back together, and we'll get it at ride height here in a little bit after we get that flex plate put on. Y'all hang out with us. Figured we'd do some more real-time video. Pops decided to crawl up under there and break loose some flex plate bolts. If I could talk, we'd be all right. I don't know if y'all can see. The jack handle's in the way, but I'll show it in a little bit. We got all that put back together. We're gonna do the shock mount once we get the car at ride height. We'll get that flex plate swapped and then get it on the ground here in a minute. And finish our shock mount. Should be good to go. I've seen a lot of people talking about these flex plates online the other night. Talking about how they go on. And I was thinking, I'm pretty sure that SFI, oh, he's getting in there all the way. Oh, it's because it's warped. It was getting in the teeth on this side all the way, but that side it wouldn't. That's how bad it's warped. Just so everybody knows, this is what the second one we put in? Yeah. This is an SFI flex plate for a 602 crate. This is the second one we had in this car, and they are warped. I don't know where they come from. I can't remember what brand it was.
Gripper,
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Started a little bad.
No. Got a little nick on a couple of teeth right there, but I mean they're not eat off or nothing. They're all still there because they're tapered back on the front.
What I was saying, it was one of the forums the other night, I seen somebody post, they didn't know which way the flex plate went. Which, on a small block Chevrolet, the weight always goes to the motor.
There's my
Dial pin?
dial pin right there. Right there.
It even fits on there. Starter's just right behind it. That's just how bad it was warped. That's crazy. I'll try to show it on camera. You get right here, you can see the starter is hitting evenly all the way across those teeth. Then it starts getting out of shape. And now it's only hitting on the outside. And that's what chipped all these teeth off. You can see where they're flat right there. We put a dial indicator on this one after we put it in there, and this one was actually a little bit better than the other one, and this one was still showing like 7 thousandths of run out, and the one before this one was like 12 or 13. So Mike decided to go to O'Reilly's and just get a stock flex plate. I know that's what a lot of people run, but he wanted to run this SFI, but they just I mean, they're warped. It's like the rings welded on them crooked. And yeah, you can tell, you can feel it. They must have had something off.
Well, have it done. Well, have it done.
Does it look right?
Look right, man.
It's gonna work.
That ain't gonna work, man. It's sure.
Got good angle on the control.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was looking at. I like it.
Good angle in the control. That's what I was gonna check earlier. I wanted to get on the ground and check.
Anti-dive.
I'm gonna have to bring that up a little bit.
The back was,
Yeah.
what's that in? Huh?
12.
Oh. Yeah.
We might have to come up a hole.
Yeah.
We'll see though. It actually, I mean, looking at here, it don't look bad. The micrometer don't look bad.
Micrometer.
But now we got it on the ground. We can do some shocking. Quit acting up now. About 4 degrees. Yeah.
What's that?
7.
What?
We can run that. We got plenty of high.
Mm-hmm.
We got plenty of high. That's why we done it like that. That's why we like to do them like that. You just get way better adjustment. And I know a lot of people are building cars like that. Pops and I actually built a car a few years ago. Well, it's been 3 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
It was an old GRT late model, and we put a metric front clip on it. I know metrics are frowned upon, but you can make them work just as much as you can anything else if you do it right. We used tabs just like this, but we plated the front clip to where everything was flat, and then we put the brackets the same height. So you had your pro dive and anti-dive adjustment. Shout out to Trey Horton, number 24 car running the same Tri-State series. That is actually the car that Pops and I built. So Trey does his own setups and stuff. We mentioned that in a prior video. That car turned out really good. It actually works really good.
Yep.
To be a metric front end car. And this car works good to be a metric front end car. Metric front end with no loading. Now,
Figure out the shock.
yeah, I think we'll be just fine on shop.
Get a hole drilled in where we want it here.
Yeah. Let me stick this on there, dude. Or kind of just eyeball it and see. Gonna be sitting up there. Oh yeah, it'll be compressed about 1 inch. Once we get it bolted in. Inch and a quarter maybe. It's actually sitting almost straight up and down.
And that's like, so we got 5 inches of travel.
Yeah, never gonna travel that.
Huh?
We don't want to ever travel that.
No.
The control arm be in the frame for it. Every bottom shock at. Yeah, yay. Well, that's what we're gonna do, y'all. We're gonna drill that tube, that 1.5 inch tube right here, just like I was showing just a minute ago. And we're gonna slug it with a piece of pipe or small piece of tubing. We'll weld all that in, get this shock bolted on. We'll be good to go.
Yep.
She'll be done.
Be done. You gotta remember to put the, we'll get that seat box back there.
Yeah. We hope that people see that we work hard on this stuff, and we try to get a lot of this stuff knocked out as quick as possible. I mean, Mike dropped this car off last night at 8:30, and we rebuilt the right front and put a flex plate on, which I know that didn't take long. But I mean,
Try to keep them going.
we try to keep them going.
Yeah.
We don't do this. We don't do them fast for our sake. Mike is following this series, and we want him to stay strong in this series and still have a run. Hopefully, a run at the championship. So, I'm gonna throw it on time lapse. We'll get this shot and stuff knocked out, and we'll have this Pierce wrapped up. Y'all hang tight. Well, folks, that's going to be it on the Pierce. We got the shock in, and actually you can see it's higher than that shock mount, so he'll have even more shock travel now and plenty of clearance. Shouldn't ever get close to it now. Maybe that'll do him good, and he won't have to have any more shocks redone. Well, that's going to do it on the Pierce for Mike Ken. We got Kelly's car coming in, the Impressive. If y'all remember, we worked on it before. He's got his body and wrap and everything on. Car's really sharp. He's going to bring it in, and we're going to do the door bar, back bumper, and fix his front bumper. Work on getting his bumper mounts made, because they extended the nose on his car a little bit. So that's going to be it on the Pierce. We'll get Kelly's Impressive in, and then Blake Hens, Mike's son, is going to bring the Harris in that we worked on. If y'all remember, we done a door bar and stuff for it. He's going to bring it to us, and we're going to go over the setup and everything on it. Check the numbers, make sure it's to Harris spec, and make sure it's to what we want in the rear. And then hopefully we get to work some more on our car. After we get all these wrapped up, these guys are getting ready for the season. They're a lot further along than we are, so we'd rather help them out, get to the racetrack, and we'll get to the racetrack when ours gets finished. So we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Y'all like, comment, subscribe. Be sure to share the videos. We actually had a couple of guys in the last video I posted when I talked about the decking sponsor. Just to give you perspective, say this was our car. The decking sponsor list is going to be right here, a number of 50, so people can walk up and see it. We actually had a couple of guys in the last video send us some money for a spot, and it's $20 a spot. That's all it is. There's going to be 50 spots. Right now, there's 35 spots left. And if y'all want to, just hit me up. I'll put all the information in the description of this video. And if y'all want to get you a spot on there, it can say whatever you want within reason. Business name, just your name, and folks can walk up and see that. We take our car. We'll be taking our car to car shows. We'll be taking it to businesses that sponsor us, and obviously the racetrack. And now we hope lots of YouTube exposure. So y'all hang out with us. We got a lot more content coming. We appreciate y'all watching. Can't thank y'all enough. We keep getting subscribers slowly but surely, but we appreciate that, and we appreciate every one of y'all. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and until next time.
Hey guys, appreciate it. God bless you.
See y'all.